Silverash is regarded as being one of the most overpowered units in the entire game, because, honestly, he kinda is. And up until recently, he was the only ranged guard 6-star, so there was no one to compare him to. On the CN server, they recently got Thorns, but how well does he compare to the snow leopard who goes swing swing? First of all, this is not a direct comparison between these two units. The only thing they have in common is being 6-star ranged guards. Thorns has a completely different niche than Silverash, and it's not fair to say he's worse because he doesn't have an insane attack up skill with a range that obliterates everything that gets even remotely close to him. Saying that would be like saying that CB is a bad operator because she isn't a literal volcano. Different unit, different playstyle. All I'm doing is comparing them to see how different two operators of a same type can be and how good each of them are. Now, let me just say, they're both equal when it comes to husbando potential, just on different sides of the spectrum. There's the handsome man, the pretty boy, and G-san. They have roughly the same stat spread. Silverash hits slightly harder and Thorns is a bit beefier, but there are no major differences. That's really good to see because there's no stat advantage when it comes to either of them. Their talents are where they really start to shift away from each other and reveal how different they truly are.
"お前がドクターか。自己紹介をしよう。コードネームはソーンズ。本日よりロド。ズボンの裾がまくれている。気にするな。いつものことだ。
シルバーアッシュ。盟友として参戦する。この私を。失望だけはさせてくれるなよ。
Silverash gets an attack buff and reduces all operators' redeployment times, and at E2, enemies within attack range who have stealth end up losing that status. Thorns' first talent is reminiscent of blue poisons, inflicting, well, poison onto every enemy he attacks. His E2 talent recovers 3.5% of his HP every second, if he hasn't attacked for 2 seconds, that is. That's about 78 HP at E2 level 30, which is 18 more than Hellagur recovers with his talent. Both their talents, solid, unique when compared to each other, and useful. You know how I said I wouldn't be comparing them in a sense of who's better and worse? That was a lie, at least for their first skills. Silverash's is leagues and bounds better, attack up by 225% every 3 attacks. That's already great by itself, but I mostly say it's better because I'm not really a fan of this oversaturated first skill. So many operators have this, and it's a shame that a 6-star has something so basic. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. At level 55 with this skill, he'll be dealing 707 attack for 30 seconds. Really good actually. But as I said, it's just a shame that it's so basic. His second skill is where Thorns seems more unique and actually becomes one of the few operators in the game whose skills correlate with their species. Let me get into what this skill does first. He stops attacking, or more so stops attacking normally, and gains an extra 40% attack and 70% defense. Anytime he gets attacked, he releases spikes within this range and deals damage up to 4 enemies ahead of him. Okay, so technically he can only activate this attack every 0.75 seconds, but it doesn't really make a difference. This lasts 36 seconds and takes 29 seconds to charge. That is absolutely fantastic. This is such a great skill. It's pretty unique and it ties into the fact that he's a sea urchin. Silverash's skill 2 is completely different and honestly fairly underrated when people talk about him. He can switch between his default state and a tankier version of himself, where his range is decreased, but he has an extra 65% defense and recovers 4% of his HP every second. But of course, this gets overshadowed by his third skill, and you can't really blame anyone for doing so. His defense goes way down, but that doesn't even matter since nothing will live long enough to touch him. Within this range, he'll be attacking 5 targets simultaneously with a huge attack boost for 26 seconds. Of course, this takes ages to charge after you've used it the first time, but you can't really complain. There's nothing else I have to say about this. You all know how overpowered it is. Thorns' skill, on the other hand, is, well, essentially just a permanent buff. I'm not even exaggerating. This is what it does. Yeah, it increases his range, his attack speed, and his attack. It only takes 15 hits for him to charge it, and after the skill ends and starts again, it's infinite, and the stats are doubled. This is ridiculously good, and I love it for that, although I'm slightly disappointed because I'm quite a big fan of more flashy skills. But despite that, I cannot complain. At E230, this can boost his attack up to 1114 forever. So, after all of that, is Thorns better or worse than Silverash? The answer is neither. They're completely different and top tier in their own ways. And as for husbando material, they're also on the same ground. Thorns is better than Wet Cat. I tried a bit of a different editing style here. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it till here, you might as well stick around. I'm still new to YouTube and I'm still experimenting, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But I'm super happy that there are already a few people who are sticking along, and the more the merrier. That's all for now. I'll see you another day.